Hello and welcome to Galactic Goddess Podcast. I'm your host, Rada Nelia, and today we have our incredible astrologer, Miss Sarah Pa'a. She's our evolutionary astrologer. Welcome from Costa Rica.
Yeah, Pura Vida. I'm currently in Costa Rica hosting a retreat. I'm super excited about it. But we're making it work. I'm glad that we found time and we found Wi-Fi just enough to get in and do this podcast for March, because I definitely think this is a month where the guidance is good. The guidance is helpful.
Absolutely. And today we are having a new moon, correct?
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. It's a new moon in Pisces, so it's really funny. It's like I go in and out of consciousness of remembering what day it is, what time it is, where we are. As everyone might know already, Mercury just stationed retrograde yesterday at 29 degrees of Pisces, so that's definitely having an influence on this new moon, as well as Uranus, the Great Awakener, officially enters Taurus and has started that 8-year cycle that's going to last through April 2026. So this is Uranus takes 84 years to go a complete cycle around the zodiac. And so this is probably the first time that we've all experienced this transit, this energy of, Uranus, which is very revolutionary. It's very awakening. It's very sporadic and sudden. And like that, it shocks us. It kind of wakes us up and turns us around and upside down.
Really?
Yes, it's very like that renovation kind of feeling, but it's like, when you just decide you're going to renovate a room, and so you just have to destroy it completely and then start all over. It's like that. It's like a sudden inspiration hits and you're like going to just renovate the whole house. And so it's that kind of very sudden and shocking energy, because it's like a lightning bolt. It really shocks us into consciousness, it's a bridge to the gods, into the consciousness. And so in Taurus, and it's got an 8-year full cycle here. And so we're really feeling that initiation into that energy now. And it's very interesting that, what?
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, how would people know if they're feeling it? If they, what are some of the feelings they might have with the Uranus energy?
Yeah. So, any kind of shocking, sudden, new understandings, or it's been affected by the Venus that was just in Capricorn. Venus just left Capricorn and entered Aquarius the beginning of this month, the first day of the month actually. And right before Venus entered Aquarius, made a square to Uranus. And so there's been a lot of relationship stuff that's been really waking up and working its way through. And so people are having really shocking conversations, or really shocking new insights or perspectives, or just a lot of things happening, experiences within relationships. That's kind of where I'm seeing a lot of that energy coming in. It could also be with the Venusian side of things being our creative projects, our worth, our investments. It's like money and creativity and that kind of thing as well. So because Venus is the ruler of Taurus, that kind of influences this even more, right? It's like she is in Aquarius right now, which is ruled by Uranus, and Uranus is in Taurus now, which is ruled by Venus. So they're in this shared reciprocity kind of space where they have each other's, they're in each other's space, and they have each other's tools. So the communication between how can we elevate, that's Uranus, how can we elevate our relationships and find innovative ways to approach relationships and the relationship paradigm, and new ways to really use our creativity and connection and our social ability. Uranus and Aquarius, again, it's all about connection, not just connection one-on-one, but the connection with the bigger groups of people and with the purpose, and really having that sense of sharing our gifts and really giving ourselves. So that's been a big influence. I think it's been also whenever we have something as significant as Uranus entering a new sign, a new energy that is so significant, it is a longer lasting transit. There's just a lot of new adjustment, energetic adjustment, I would say. So feeling that also on the other side of that newness is the release of any kind of old or stuck energy that might be in the way. So we just kind of talked about that renovation. So you might also be feeling that kind of destructive type of energy, the purging energy.
Purging for sure, yeah.
Purging for sure. And I think the purging has a lot to do as well with the current Mercury retrograde that we're in. It's no coincidence that Mercury stationed retrograde at the exact same time as this new moon and as that Uranus transit, and it's at 29 degrees of Pisces. So it is at the literal last degree of the zodiac. And it's kind of like before we completely close this chapter, these cycles, whatever it is, this healing that we've really all been doing collectively, there is kind of this like last minute Mercury retrograde to really deeply process and make sure that we really clean it all out before going forward. So lots of feeling has also been up because Taurus rules the body and the senses. So it's like our connection to our body, our connection to food, our connection to the earth, our connection to anything matter, and really that connection between energy and vibration, and that kind of idea of like everything is energy, and really connecting with what resonates with our energy, I think is also a Uranus and Taurus kind of thing. We're becoming kind of sensitized as to which things resonate, which things don't, and our bodies might become more sensitive to different foods that we're eating, or different places that we're going, or people that we're around, because we have that really heightened connective energy, intuitive energy in the body, in the earth sign Taurus.
Wow, that's a lot already. I'm like, whoa.
I know. I know it is a lot.
But I was saying, like, I already felt like the beginning of the month, the first, I had like an ascension wave or an energy wave come through me. I was already feeling like a jump start with this. Of course, it's retrograde in Pisces, right? So I'm a Pisces. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but it was very strong. Like the energy was strong to start the month off. Unusually strong. Like,
yeah. But that's kind of been the case, I feel like, for every month so far. In 2019, it hasn't really stopped.
No.
But February was a lot of really quick ascension, really, really a lot of action, and a lot of things coming together. And so March, we have this moment of like the void. It's a big transition month. It's a big month of kind of like, in February, hopefully people were taking action, they were participating, they were really putting out the energy, and now becomes the surrender portion of the cycle, where we really allow the divine to come in and really follow our intuition. Mercury rules our mind, right? It rules our logic, our communication, and our ability to use our mind to kind of like understand, how do we get from point A to point B? And Mercury would be like the map that we follow. And so having Mercury retrograde in Pisces, it's a sign of detriment for Mercury. It's losing all of those resources, essentially. And so what is the hidden gift in losing those resources is that we're forced into accessing and really reaching in and tuning into our other resources, which is our feeling body, our intuition. And as a Pisces, you know how important intuition is, and you're probably very tuned in, tapped into that. But on a collective level, that's kind of being forced in a lot of ways. The image I had was kind of like we are feeling our way in the dark. Like we're in this new space, but we've never been here before. There's no lights on. We can't see anything. We're very unclear. And so if you were in a dark space, how would you get from wherever you are to find the next thing you need? Maybe that's the door. Maybe that's the bathroom. Maybe that's something to eat. You would feel your way around, literally. So that is very much the energy that is coming in and calling in, to really be able to slow down enough to listen to that sense of direction, because it's not a clear direction. It's not a straight line, which it never really is linear. We know that. But there aren't any maps right now. Like we don't have any, we can't use the logic. We can't use like what's worked before to tell us what we're going to do next. It's very much like we know that we are doing something very different. We don't know what it is. We have to take it one step at a time and just really follow that heart impulse of like, this feels right. This conversation led me to this and this. And it's actually funny because I'm here in Costa Rica leading this retreat, and so many people's stories of how we've all come together in this group of everyone here include these kinds of stories where it's like, I just like one conversation led to another, and then everything's interconnected and comes together perfectly. If we participate, if we're willing to surrender and really listen, you know?
Yeah. So it sounds like it sounds like we're floating through the nebula.
Yes. Oh my God.
I'm like, we are floating through the nebula. Like, I need to go this way. That feels right. You know?
Yeah. And floating in this very, very purifying water. This new moon today is actually exactly conjunct Neptune. And that's a beautiful aspect, because when Mercury finishes its retrograde stations direct at the end of the month, it's going to station direct in conjunction with Neptune. And so this quality of being completely merged with our environments, being in that oneness and that state of really being in the experiences that we're in moment to moment is this is the gift. Like, this is the theme of the month. It's Neptune is like not going anywhere, even though we'll enter into Aries season. We'll have that spring equinox on March 20th, which we'll get into. But yeah, there is a lot of right now. This is a big release, and anything that's like weighing our boat down in that water that we're floating in, we have to purify, we have to release, we have to get rid of it, we have to dump it off the side, give it back to the earth, give it back to the ocean, give it back to the gods, whatever it is. This is a very potent healing journey as well, which I know you and I've talked about. Like, we're already feeling that, and I've had people reach out to me as well. There's a lot of stuff, like really old relationships and exes and just memories that are kind of resurfacing. And so allowing ourselves to witness them in a way that can bring more love and understanding without holding on to them. And we don't need to hold on to them anymore. So really forgiveness also seems to be like a big call right now.
Yeah. Wow. I know, Mercury retrograde and the X's. Oh. X's always want to creep back when it's Mercury retrograde, huh?
Yeah. Well, and it's in Pisces, at the end of Pisces. So we're not just like exes. It feels very much like a karmic closing, like very karmic past life, like just very soul level healing and integration. So, yeah, I think the best thing that we can do right now is to understand that we are beginning a lot of new things. Like this is a lot of new energy. It's a lot of unknown. And this isn't the time to like try to have that plan in place. It's more about being really open, really practicing surrender, moment to moment. We are in transition, and listening to our intuition. This is the other message, is being our own teacher, like listening to the wisdom, because wisdom is embodied knowledge. It comes from a place of experience. It's something we've learned in our mind, but then we lived it. So now, even though we don't have this Mercury available, like in our body, we know what's kind of the next thing coming, or if that makes sense.
We have to learn to rely on our feelings a little bit more. It's going to be tough for people that are really practical,
Yeah, I definitely think. Yeah, or people who if we have attachment to material things or attachment to plans, if we are in a state of lack or a state of scarcity, or we feel that we aren't supported, we aren't guided, then yes, it could be very challenging. We have to trust that if something is leaving, it is in order to make room for what is coming in. We have to trust that we are always where we need to be. We have to trust that we are always feeling what we need to feel. And to not, I would say the thing to avoid is to try to create some sort of comfort for the ego by gripping onto something just to feel like you've got control or you've got security in the moment. Because it's a huge ascension, like what you were talking about. This is a huge ascension. This is a huge moment of really moving very quickly up that spiral forward and upward. But it's a spiral, so there's depth. As deep as we go, that's as high and far as we go.
Yeah, it seems like this whole journey has been like that, like the waves, right? We've been riding on these energy waves. Since we've started to do this. And in many ways, but it's just different energies for each month, right? So like March is really about maybe going into more trust, going into more, feeling, intuition. You can't really solve things by just being practical. You have to feel deeply into yourself. I hear some animals.
Oh yeah, they're everywhere. The howling monkeys are terrifying, but everything's great. I'm like almost like used to it now. I also feel like I want to touch on there's a lot of So there's a lot of great sextiles between the sun and Saturn and Pluto and Capricorn. And the sun's also making beautiful trines over to the North Node in Cancer. And so the things that we've been building with Saturn and Capricorn since December of 2017, when it first entered, like these whatever foundations we've been building, this is really also a beautiful time of manifesting off of that. So we have to trust that the foundation we've been laying and the path we've been paving for ourselves and the direction we've been moving in, it's all aligning right now. And so this is a very fated month. It's a very a month of also closure. I think it's really important that we talk about closure. It's like whatever open tabs you still have in your subconscious, in your heart, any kind of like open-ended communications, energetic cords, like this is the time to really get clear, to really cut, to close them, and to close them with as much compassion and integrity as possible. But to not stay behind, I guess, to not stay with any kind of story or suffering. Because there is a lot of that kind of energy. We're moving forward, even though this month might feel like a little bit lost or like moving backwards, because that's what it feels like when we're just not really clear in our mind, you know? But we have to trust, like we have to trust that it's all perfect and really just stick to whatever it is that you've been doing since that Saturn entered Capricorn. It's like, don't stop now. Like now is not the time to start doubting it. Now is not the time to start like retracting. And you might be tempted to, you might be like, oh, I got this far. And like, I risked this much and I put this much into it, but now I'm just like, now I'm not going to trust, or now I'm going to doubt. And it's like, no, like don't do that now.
that was like such a message that came to me yesterday. It was like miracles are around the corner. Like whatever you're doing that's really coming from your heart or your soul, like spark that you're doing because you're passionate about, like don't give up on things that you believe in at all. And you don't need to see the results right the second, you know, like sometimes we don't see the results. It's like being in the dark. When the light comes back again, you'll see how much progress you've made. And I think we're about to hit spring, you know, the spring equinox, and so many good things are happening. And I just want to put that out to people because I feel like a lot of people feel like, oh, I don't know, just that's kind of the vibe I've been seeing around, like going through like some depression or different emotions. Like they don't want to keep moving forward. They don't know if they should keep moving forward. And I'm like, no, you must keep moving forward. Like don't give up.
You got it. Like the image you just said of where like you move in the dark and then the lights come on and you see everything. That is a perfect symbology, Radha, of this month, because you're right. We're in Pisces. We're in the last sign of the zodiac. The zodiac calendar year is ending. It's closing. And it has Mercury retrograding, you know, the messenger of the gods retrograding at the last of those degrees right before we go into the spring equinox. So it is definitely a time of like, the lights are out. We can't see, but that doesn't mean we stop moving. That doesn't mean that we sink into that darkness. It means that we walk one step at a time forward through the darkness, through that unknown. Because yes, spring equinox is coming March 20th. That is a cycle reset, right? It is the zodiac, the astrological new year. It's the start of our spring season. It's at 0 degrees. It's a full moon that day as well, the Libra full moon. So it's a day of completion and a day of beginning. And that is what this month is. This month is simultaneous release and simultaneous resetting, reopening. So we have to clear the data. We have to clear the space psychically, energetically, emotionally, physically, whatever it is, so that we can really make that space to start moving forward.
Wow.
And then at the end of the month, at the end of the month, Venus is going to enter Pisces on March 26th. And so a lot of the relationship stuff that we're doing now, if we're really doing the work of, you know, Venus in Aquarius is a lot about the groups that we're in, the people we surround ourselves with, the influences that we have in our lives, right? If we're really getting that figured out and being picky about that in a certain way, you know, you are who you surround yourself with kind of thing. And then at the end of the month, when Mercury goes direct and Venus is in Pisces, where it's exalted, it's like this beautiful coming home party, this beautiful hopefully the lights turn on and you're surrounded by this intimate circle of people that really just see you and love you, and vice versa. You know, it's just equal space of honest, you know, connection and truth and love.
Wow. I'm like, wow. So Venus and Pisces, is that going to make people feel more emotional or sentimental or romantic? I mean, Pisces is pretty romantic.
Romantic. It can be a little bit like overindulging in the romance and the fantasy. I mean, that's Pisces, right? And that's a thing to also bring up with the Mercury retrograde as well, is like making sure that we're not escaping our reality, or using any kind of Pisces escapism in a negative way. We might be revealing any patterns that show us when we do that. That might be coming up in this Mercury retrograde for healing. Any kind of like, when we're in the unknown and we're in this dark room and we really wish we had a light, do we just like call the ex that we worked so hard to break the cycle from because we know they have a lighter and they could like show us the next step? It's like, don't do that. Like,
do that.
Feel your way forward without leaning on something that you know is not good, that is toxic, that is a short-term answer to a longer-term, you know, journey that you don't need to go back into.
That's so good. Like, we don't need to re-traumatize ourselves, guys, just because it's Mercury retrograde. Like, we want to step into, we want to up level. Like, we don't need to, I think that's the thing with Mercury retrograde too, is like, it's easy to fall back into the old patterns perhaps, or review them at the very least, right? Or to have those memories, or to think back about somebody. But if it didn't work out, there's probably a reason for that, you know? So yeah, it's definitely important to keep moving forward in the dark. I love that.
And I think it's really important for people to know that, like, if you feel like you're back in old patterns, or you feel like old stuff is just coming up, old feelings, and it feels like you can't place why it's happening, the more we can resist the temptation to need to know why, or to need to find evidence for where it's coming from, and we can just trust that it's just moving through. Trust, like that's the whole trust yourself, trust your wisdom, trust what you've been doing up until now, and don't doubt all of a sudden that you've, like, I just imagine it's like all of a sudden somebody turns off all the lights and they take everything away and they tell you it's like the last temptation for the Buddha was doubt, was self-doubt, that like everything was that he was not enlightened, he didn't do anything. And so it's like the final call, it's a final test. It's like, don't fall for it, trust yourself, trust what you've experienced, trust what you've healed, it is healed. If it comes back up and it looks like I've never healed this, like that's what I've been feeling. It's like things that are coming up, like, what is this? This is like, this is like, I've never seen this before, but I know I've seen this. It's like, trust that you've seen it and lovingly release it. It doesn't have to be bigger than that. It can be a big feeling in the moment, but it can be like
I think because we were like texting each other the other day, and it's like a lot of old trigger wounds they're just sort of like releasing. They're like going like this. I kind of see them coming up like major stuff, but it's just kind of going, but it's just going like this. So you don't want to grab onto it and hold it. Like, just watch it. It's like little stardust, like going, but it feels like, whoa. And you want to get like wait, it's like scary, because it's like I'm seeing all this stuff come up, but what if we just like let it go? What if we just keep watching and witnessing it instead of trying to capture it? And you can't start us anyway, so.
Well, and it's like back to that image of the Neptune and the ocean, and like that just like water that we're floating in kind of right now. And it's like, yes, it's like going up and it's just dissolving and merging into the sky. Like, look up at the stars at night, and when you see the stars, like those are all of your like signposts of healing. Like, I'm just like, it's like, oh, like those are your treasures. Like, I have healed that. They're back. They're a part of everything, and nothing ever truly leaves like that. You know, it's never like done. There's no destination. And so the more that we can trust that we've done the work we've done, and we can resist the temptation to really bite any kind of hook or jump in any story, or resist and feel like, I've already done that work, I don't want to do that work. Don't judge yourself. Don't judge what comes up. Like, really welcome it. Self-reflect, and remember the medicine and the healing that was on the other side of whatever that trigger is, because the quicker you can go into that is the quicker that you'll remember that it's already in the sky. Like it's already it's already released.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. That's so beautiful. And it's a great way to end it. So thank you so much, Sarah, for coming on. I think this will be very helpful for many people. Thank you for joining us. And I'll put Sarah's information below so you guys can contact her and get your chart done as well. And have an amazing time in Costa Rica. I'm
Thank
a
you.
little jelly. I wish I could join you, but maybe next time. So
yeah, I would definitely want to come back. It is
Mm-hmm.
incredible here. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that we
Awesome.
could create time and space to do this.
Yes.
I love you so much.
Love you too.
Yeah.
Much love and enjoy. Mwah. Bye.
Goodbye.